Welcome to the Pixelberry Choices podcast. Today we're going to be talking about chapter 14 of Laws of Attraction. And wow, this chapter was everything that I was hoping for. We start the chapter with the little detail that Alejandro, Aliana's brother, probably knew about dating going and how these things could be related. And we go back, we first call Alejandro, but he doesn't reply, and there was a choice. If you chose the right thing, then you would get some up in strategy, but I personally screwed it up. So Aslin sort of saved the conversation and jumped into rescue. But Alejandro tells us to meet him personally, and over phone he can't tell anything. So guess what? We go to Oklahoma. And now here's one thing. So I know it's not related to the case, but at first they have a conversation about the city life and country life. So I personally like, I really like country, the Big Sky Country book or the Baby Bump 2 partly because of this countryside home, like sweet town vibe they have, small town vibe. So Oklahoma, I said I can stay here, and that was really awesome. The sky, everywhere you see the grass, the space you have there, and how contrasting it is with New York. So that was really awesome. But then we go to the ranch of Alejandro. We see him riding a horse, and he doesn't want to answer our questions. But here again, we get a diamond scene. We can go with Alejandro. We can ride a horse, and then we can get some answers out of him. And we get a horse, and we also get the horse that is the favorite horse of Aliana, because Aliana got the horse just before she left for Los Angeles, and Moon something her name was. And it's going to be interesting and important in the in the later half of this chapter. And then we ride it. We can race Alejandro. We can win the race if we make the right choice, and then he will open up to us. He will take us inside his ranch, and we'll see it's not an average ranch. It's really up and coming ranch. Like, it's really up to date, so to speak. And then Alejandro's mom and dad come in, and they're surprised, and they also talk about they shouldn't be saying anything to us. They don't trust us, the corporate guys. But Alejandro confirms them just because of our main character that we are trustworthy. Then we go to a room, and then we talk about this, and wow, what details. So they say originally they had a son 10 years ago. He died. How? Going factory, the Coing chemicals. So they did something that the waters got some happened, or the water or the mud, the soil, the chemical got into those, and it was toxic. And this Antonio, their son, used to play with the mud as a child, but it was toxic, so he died because of the disease. And it was really sad. But the company, they tried to file a lawsuit, but they failed because we even failed against going in the early chapters, and that was 10 years ago, and perhaps not with that good lawyers, and they didn't have much money, so they lost it. Instead, they went for a settlement, and that's why they have they got the money to build things up there and move on from their loss and sort of sign an NDA. Their neighbor's wife died, but the neighbor guy loved his wife so much and didn't want to do anything with the money after his wife's death. So they seemed his death looked like a normal heart attack, normal death, but actually they believe he was killed because a car and an unknown person was seen just before his death. So that was really mysterious. So our hearts get heavy. Aslin cries. Gabe's chin's tightened up. So definitely this is a big thing we're digging up. And now we get back to our office. We sort of have this conversation. Like, Aliana was not dating this Cohen guy. Aliana, like I said in my previous video, I said it's because environmental issues, because Cohen was against this environmentalist. It's sort of the same, but Aliana has personal interest in this. Her brother was killed by this jerk Cohen, so she just wanted to put him in his right place. But whoever crosses paths with going, what happens that with them. And then we sort of leave the office, but Aslin comes up with Aliana's phone and says there is an encrypted file. If we can crack it, then we will get a lot of details on this case. And then we see Dimension again with Ashley. We go to the rooftop. It's a really super awesome scene, and we sort of brainstorm what could be the password. And finally, the horse we met, we befriended sort of back in the ranch in Oklahoma. Aliana's horse, Moon something. Her name is, I'm kind of forgetting. Comment below if you remember. So her name and a little bit of address of the firm is the password, and I wasn't able to crack it. Ashlyn did it, and we get all the photos with Going, and even all the details about how Coing knew about the chemicals, and he let that happen. All the NDAs, every dirty laundry of Coing was there in that phone. And even our previous case back in chapter 3 that we lost to Coing, even we can press charges for that with this bit of information. So we were really happy. We go down, we see Bo and Sadie, they have a date. And here's this interesting thing. Sadie sort of asked why we were still there, and we say that we have this big information. But then Sadie acts really unnaturally, and Sadie seems like she's not happy that we made the discovery, and says some stuff that is really suspecting, like that raises suspension for Sadie. And then what happens is they go on, and we go to the library, and here's the main drama stars. A masked man comes in with a gun and literally threatens us, snatches the phone, Aliana's phone, from Sadie, from Ashlyn. And at the time, we were in the library with Gabe and Ashlyn, and Gabe was trying to jot it down in the case file somewhere. And then we dive to attack that guy, but he fires, it misses us, but he picks up the phone and runs away. And then both Gabe and Ashlyn, we tell them that the phone is more important at this point, but they say nothing's important than you. And here we get to choose the dimension between Gabe and Ashlyn. So it's a big, I personally chose Gabe's option, because Gabe, I chose the, not the white, not the black, but in between the Gabe, you know what I mean? So that Gabe I chose. And the point, because the Nanny Affair and other books in there, you just start with hookup, but with Gabe it was really nice, because this was actually a real slow burn. This was actually a real forbidden romance. Gabe always pulled back because he knew what could happen if he let his guard down, but this was the moment. Our main character is going to lose their life. So then Gabe says he can choose the scene with Gabe or Ashlyn. So I chose with Gabe, and he can go to Gabe's office from there, and he can have a steamy hookup scene with Gabe. And then you will receive a text from Sadie saying she has received the news about the attack, and she's now ready to pull out of this case. So what is going to happen with Marcus Serpe? And this is not just about Marcus Serpe now. Marcus is definitely an innocent guy who is being treated badly. That I totally agree with. But it's not about just Aliana and Marcus. It's also about our previous case that we lost. It's about all these innocent people, and who knows how many people have died, how many people have been killed by Coing, and how many Alianas have been killed, how many Marcus have been framed, how many families have been rigged, how many this kind of unfortunate accidents have happened, how many cases have been just literally buried underground by Coing with his power and with his money. He has destroyed how many families. We don't know that, so our main character needs to investigate this deep. And two more things I would like to say. First is that Sadie, because remember when Coing case first came up back in chapter 3, Sadie sort of said, hey, let's go for settlement, that's the best thing. And Sadie was sad, seemingly sad, but Sadie also said sometimes you need to do the settlement, sometimes you need to take this, in some cases you will lose. Now here Sadie seems seriously like she had something to do with it, because I don't know, the attack happened on us, the phone was snatched away. I think it could have been Sadie, because remember what happened with Bo and stuff. Like Bo said he cleared the case for us, and then the next chapter he said no. So I don't know. So because the guy didn't shoot us, did he? So I don't know how it's going to play out in the next chapter, but it's going to be interesting, because I think Sadie can have something to do with this. Maybe something small or something big. A big part, or maybe a small part. We will see what happens in the next chapter, but this was really big. But I don't believe we're going to pull out of this case, and I know none of you believe that, because we're going to solve this. And one last thing is that, wow, the chapter pace was super nice, and now I think chapter 16 could be the last chapter of this book because the pace has been super good. And the way it's building the next chapter, we reach a step closer, and then the final chapter we finish it off, and the chapter length is proper. There's the adequate, so the story is good. So I think it's plausible still, but you can get more chapters, but not less than that for sure. Now here's the thing that this is, I call it now. This is so far. I haven't seen Queen Bee 2. I haven't seen Wake the Dead and Cop Crimes of Passion, but this is perhaps the best book of this year. The way this was written and the way, I mean, of the first 8 9 chapters, it was kind of here and there. So but the Coing case, so that was really nice. So at that point he lost that thing, and they sort of, with that cleverness, they brought it back. So that case was important. In between things happened. That was a good story, but not as important for this case. So the real thing started from chapter 9, and which started it built up, and it continued building up, and now it's even reaching climax, and now it's time to come down in the next 2 chapters or so. So I kind of, when I was listening to Alejandro's family and Velasquez, Mr. and Mrs. Velasquez, I think they were telling about their families, like what happened in the past. I sort of remember what happened in Veils of Secrets, sort of the deep, like the Pierce Sterling family, the effect they had, and they killed people. They burned, even Duffy's mother, I think. So I know it was something like that also with Going Guy, and the deep secrets that we got to learn, the misfortune of the family, and how they were brutally, totally punished, and for something they never did. They were totally rigged. They were totally devastated by this one guy and his company, Going Chemicals. We'll get to learn about that. So this is a proper mystery, proper adventure, and exactly the firing and what happens. It's just like in a detective or crime movie or crime book, you would see that. So this is perhaps the best book, and specifically since it came back from hiatus, it's the highest and best version of this book. So chapter 9 to chapter 14 we have so far read, and this is feeling like a Veil of Secrets book. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and it's been turning out to be really good. I can't wait for next chapter for next week. I know I gotta wait 7 days, and I just literally can't do that, but it's gonna be worth it. Let's talk in the comment section below. See you in the next video. Till then, peace out.